Recording this stuff.
All right, there it is. We're on. We're live.
Yay.
It is the all-new Jeff Dubay Show with Jason Linse. This is episode 3, and we have upgraded. If you can't tell, we've upgraded the audio. We've upgraded the video. We're using the computer, which is a larger screen, so I could probably see remarks. So if you want to, the show can actually go a little bit interactive now.
Yes.
So yeah, like
the first one.
Well, yeah. See, now I can see the screen from here. So like, if people have something to say or they want to contribute to the show, go right ahead. You know, we're good for it. This is episode number 3 for the week of 11/25/19. To put it in perspective for sports fans, that means the Vikings are coming off their bye week, and the Gophers are fresh off a win against Northwestern.
10-1.
Game day is coming to town.
Yes. How about that?
Pretty exciting.
Yeah.
Pretty exciting. You know what? And a lot of people saw this coming when they were lobbying to get it for the Penn State week.
Yeah.
I mean, I never thought they'd get it that week. I mean, Alabama, LSU, you can't say no to that.
No.
Depending on what polls you were looking at, it was either going to be 1 versus 2 or 2 versus 3 or whatever the hell it turned out to be. But either way, I mean, Alabama, I'm guessing their average attendance for their spring football game, for their spring, the inter-squad scrimmage, is probably larger than like Minnesota's average attendance.
Yeah.
So I mean, you can't say no to a market like that has that kind of enthusiasm for
They have
their team.
nothing else to do down there, by the way.
So yeah, well, yeah, that too.
It's a terrible state.
That too. I mean, the trade-off here is from the Big Ten to the SEC is the SEC has got all these great programs and all the great athletes that are in the South, and the ability to build these powerhouse programs. But the trade-off is the Big Ten has TV markets that range from Minneapolis to Milwaukee to Chicago to Detroit to Baltimore to Washington D.C. to Philadelphia to Pittsburgh to New York City, and the SEC has Biloxi and Tuscaloosa and Gainesville and
Oxford.
I mean, I know Biloxi's not a college town per se, or at least it's not an SEC, but I mean the state of Mississippi, in general, and this makes a big deal, a big difference. So what happens here is, the Big Ten, what levels the playing field for the Big Ten a little bit here, is that the Big Ten network is it's printing money. It's printing money, and it allows these schools to pay outrageous salaries. Jim Harbaugh makes huge money. Jim Harbaugh has college coordinators that are making 7 figures. I mean, coordinators, like an offensive coordinator or defensive coordinator in college. Really? I forget which one it is, but at least one of his coordinators, if not both, are doing 7 figures. Yeah. So, this is, you look at, the importance of a school like the University of Minnesota being able to keep a guy like PJ Fleck. I mean, they can pay coaches. They can overpay coaches in the Big Ten to a greater extent than they have the ability to potentially in some other conferences. Although, you got boosters, and other ways to make up that money. What's the guy he's like the most famous, if not infamous, booster in college athletics down at Oklahoma State? Like T. Boone Pickens or something?
No idea, but that sounds like that's probably close.
Yeah, I mean, seriously, that's like his name. That's his name.
So Jeff, I've never watched College Game Day. What are we looking at? Are you
serious?
Here? No, I don't have cable TV. I don't watch TV.
Well, yeah.
So I'm not as big a sports firm as you.
Huh.
What are we looking at? What's happening here?
Wow, I have to describe College Game Day to somebody who's never seen it before. This is unique.
That's why it's the Jeff Dubay Show with Jason.
Well, they do. They set up in different places. I'm kind of excited to see where they set up.
They haven't announced this. They don't.
Where I would set up, if it was up to me, I would put them on the mall right in front of Northrop. I'd put them on the big mall with Northrop being the backdrop. So, I mean, to me, that's like if you're going to put a picture of your university on a postcard, that's as collegiate looking as it gets.
I'm with you.
So basically, when it comes to game day, they set up in a number of different places. When they were in Fargo, they set up like a downtown on Main Street in front of a theater, which I thought was weird.
There's not a lot of options in Fargo.
No, there's not. Last week when they were in Columbus for Penn State, Ohio State, they set up in the stadium. They're actually down on the field, which I think they kind of did as an FU to Fox because the Penn State, Ohio State game was the Fox big noon kickoff. So ESPN is like on their site, the site of their game, the site of their broadcast, and they're like actually down on the field doing it. Sometimes they're right outside a stadium. Sometimes they're right in the center of a campus, like they were, like I'm proposing they would do for the University of Minnesota.
So let's say they go to.
My guess is they're going to be in a tailgate lot with the stadium as a backdrop.
Okay,
that's the rumor I'm hearing.
But then who is it? Like how many? What are they?
It's a 2-hour catch-all pregame show for all the days college football.
Okay.
Well, it's actually 3 hours, I believe. If you can get the first hour on like ESPNU or something. Like now I'm talking Central Time Zone here because we are in Minnesota. It's on from 9 to 11 on ESPN. I believe it's on from 8 to 9, either on ESPN2 or ESPNU, or ESPN News. They farm it down.
Yeah.
And it basically is it's a 2-hour pregame previewing all the big college games of the day. They will do features and vignettes, and obviously they're going to talk about the Gopher Badger game quite a bit. They've got a producer named Bear who does some picks against the spread. He was all over the Gophers against Penn State, by the way. He nailed it. Little money in the pocketbook there. You've got typically a huge, frenzied live audience watching it. With they're
several thousand people. Do you have to pay to get in?
No, not at all. And one of the big side attractions of this thing is people make signs and as creative as possible.
Oh, I heard about that.
Well, yeah, like the guy who he was at Iowa State when it was an Iowa State game, and he said he needed beer money, and they got he raised millions and donated it to the Children's Hospital in Iowa City, and then somebody dug into his Twitter and found a racist comment that he made when he was 16. Yeah. So the guy just got publicly shamed, and then 2 weeks later, the world came to their senses and said, "Hey, this guy just did a really good thing. Let's not blame him for being an idiot when he was 16, because a lot of people are idiots when they're 16." And he was honored at the halftime.
Do you remember
of
what
the
the tweet was? Because I don't. It wasn't that bad. But anyway, all right. So people make signs, creative signs, have a good time.
Yeah. And my favorite part of it, which I think is everybody's favorite part of it, the final segment, the final 15 minutes or so, is when they all do picks. Okay. And what they do is they have a guest celebrity picker, who is usually somebody with ties to that university or to that area. Sometimes it's somebody who's both. When they're at Texas, like Matthew McConaughey was the guest picker. When they were in Alabama, Justin Thomas, the golfer who went to Alabama, was the picker. So they try to get somebody who went to the school.
Who are they going to get?
That's the speculation. And
when do they announce it?
And Michael Rand in Randball today, Star Tribune, who is a really good guy and somebody whose work I really enjoy. He ran down a list of possibilities. So let me throw these at you.
Sid Hartman.
Right away, my first thought that came to my mind, and the one that I'd like to see the most, is Tony Dungy.
Yeah.
I think that would be awesome. The more you have a class guy like that associated with your program, the better it is.
That's probably what's going to be.
And of course, for personal reasons, my family's had season tickets since the early 70s. So Tony Dungy is my first memory of Gopher football. So watching Tony Dungy quarterback the Gophers at Memorial Stadium.
When you were 5?
Yeah, absolutely. And I still do remember it. But anyway, so in no particular order, possibilities include Bud Grant, Gopher alum, Bud Grant. Some people forget, that
he was a Gopher.
He played Gopher football and Gopher basketball.
See, another thing about him, he's from Wisconsin, but he's not I don't think he's a Packer fan or anything, right?
I would hope not.
No,
anybody who's spent 20, 30 years coaching the Vikings should not be a Packer fan.
He grew up in Wisconsin.
Yeah, but I think you get over that. Ric Flair is coming up. The name Ric Flair is coming up because he played Gopher football. He played football for the Gophers.
He did?
In 1969, apparently, he played football for the Gophers.
Didn't know that.
Brock Lesnar has been brought up.
No,
he's a big star, and he was a legitimate athlete because he was in mixed martial arts.
Have you heard him talk?
Yeah, I used to hang out with him actually every once in a while. I remember, back in the day, I was sitting at Sally's on the side. They had sidewalk table set up. Okay. It was me, Nate Miller, and Brock Lesnar, and some scrawny little freshman guys just walking by on the sidewalk. And Brock Lesnar leans over and goes, "Hey, I'm gonna F with this guy." And as this guy walks by, Lesnar leans out over into the sidewalk into the kid's face and goes, like a mad dog, just a mad dog.
That's a great person.
The kid dropped a pint of blood right there on the sidewalk. It was unbelievable.
Yeah, okay. Well, let's hope it's not Lesnar.
I think the kid transferred to Augsburg. Just to beat us. I got to get out of here. Big, small fish, big pond. So it could be Lesnar, it could be Dungy, it could be Bud Grant. Lindsey Whalen has been brought up.
Ooh, Lindsey Whalen.
I forget about
Tony Dungy's the obvious.
I think I would love to see Tony Dungy. I don't know what his schedule is. I don't even know where he lives. I know he doesn't live in Minnesota.
No, I don't think so.
Bud Grant does. Lindsey Whalen does.
And Dungy would have.
Dungy
does college football, pro football stuff.
Yeah. For
so
NBC,
that might be tough
for NBC. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what his schedule allows, and he also works for another network. I don't know if ESPN cares about that or not. The cross, promotion of another network.
They don't care.
I don't know. But so anyway, Star Tribune's calling it, game of the decade. They called it another game of the decade. Previously we looked at the 1998 NFC Championship game. As a matter of fact, the Star Tribune threw a picture of the Weeping Blondes up. You remember the Weeping Blondes?
Yeah, I do.
We got to revisit that with the Weeping Blondes.
Good times.
Yeah. So, but they're calling it another game of the century type scenario, and it is. I mean, you can't ask for more. It's a 10-1 Gopher team that is reaching heights never before seen in my lifetime. Which I was born in 1968. I guess they were co-Big Ten champs in '67. Was it '67 or '68? But last time it was the Rose Bowl.
It doesn't matter.
Well, the last Rose Bowl was '62, if I'm not mistaken. The last Rose Bowl was '62.
Yeah.
And you know, they were talking about this on the broadcast during the Northwestern game. The Gophers were the national champions that year. They beat UCLA. Oh, were they not? No, they were national champions in '60. I get confused. But the Gophers got the Rose Bowl bid that year because Ohio State turned it down. College football used to be really weird. Yeah. I don't know how else to explain it. I mean, who turns down an invitation to the Rose Bowl? And the Gophers won a national championship in 1960 when they lost the Rose Bowl. And the reason being is because the final poll comes up back then before the bowl games.
Yeah.
And then the bowl games were just played.
Meaningless.
Yeah. So, I mean, people could say, oh, what a weak national championship. But you know what? If you had not yet been crowned national champions and you needed to win the Rose Bowl to get it, that probably could affect the outcome.
Sure.
I mean, it could affect how
a coach approaches it.
Yeah, and I mean, this is back in the day. I mean, it's college football is strange. I mean, the Gophers, if I'm not mistaken, for many years were credited with 6 national championships, and then they went back and found another one. Like just a few years ago, they said, "Oh no, here's another one. We got 7." So it's like it's weird.
Yeah, but that was back in the 30s and 40s, Jeff. There was 26 football teams in the whole country.
I know, and who knows what.
But let me ask you this.
Go ahead. I gotta grab my soda.
I want to get that. Is it ever upright?
Am I?
I want to get your take on this game. How do you see it? Did the Gophers win? If so, how is it played? Is it high scoring, low scoring?
I think it's a coin flip, and I really do. I know that's such a bailout. So much of it depends on the weather. When you're talking about what kind of is it going to be, high scoring, low scoring, I tend to think high scoring. I think that Jonathan Taylor is going to get his. When doesn't he? I love the Gophers offense. I love their ability to throw the football. They've got great balance. I mean, Rodney Smith is a 1,000-yard rusher again, by the way. He went over 1,000 yards. He's averaging over 5 yards a carry. And here's what's amazing about Rodney Smith. Averaging 5 yards, a little over 5 yards a carry this year. He's not a home run hitter. Rodney Smith rarely goes, he never takes anything long to the house. And rarely does he, gallop for like more than 15. You don't see a lot of 20-yard runs on his resume. So when he's averaging 5 yards a carry, it's because he's basically taking it 5 yards a carry. I bet 80% of his runs are between 3 and 10 yards. He's just like, so it's not like he's got some exaggerated average because he's hitting home runs. Jonathan Taylor probably has I'm guessing his average is around 7, 8, 9 yards a carry because he's got so many long runs. He's phenomenal. He's the best running back in college football. He's probably the best we've seen, well, at least since Saquon Barkley, which was just a few years ago. But so much of it depends on the weather. I think the worse the weather, the more it favors Wisconsin.
What's the forecast looking like?
Snow. It's supposed to snow all week, and it's supposed to snow Friday into Saturday. So, if it's supposed to be tapering, but it's Monday, and you know how much they change these forecasts. At the time of this taping, it's Monday. So who knows? By the time they get to Saturday, how many times the forecast will change? But the worse the weather is, I got to believe, the more it would favor Wisconsin because they're probably a little more physical. They certainly run the ball more. The Gophers rely a little more on finesse and skill. Rashad Bateman might be the best wide receiver in college football. He's absolutely unbelievable.
One of them.
Yeah, he's elite. He's absolutely elite. Not to steal, a catchphrase from PJ Fleck, but
we got another one that's pretty good.
2 1,000-yard receivers, and they complement each other perfectly. Bateman is an outside guy, he's a threat down the, over the top. He's great with the footwork in the end zone. You can throw fades to him. And Johnson is a slot guy. But both these guys can get deep. Both these guys they'll go over the middle. They'll both run the slant, and they're both capable of grabbing the slant and taking it to the house. And
they're changing their best.
And so is Chris Bell for that matter. And I tell you what, Demetrius Douglas had a tough week hanging onto the football against Northwestern, but he's got a ton of skill. And a year ago, you saw him take a punt to the house.
Demetrius Underwood? Who?
Demetrius Douglas. Demetrius Douglas. Omar Douglas' son, former Gopher. We saw him take a punt. Remember he took a punt to the house last year at Wisconsin when you and I were sitting. Where were we? Just around the corner.
Cowboy Slims.
I was in my last couple months at Teen Challenge, and to celebrate, I decided to hang out in the bar and watch a Gopher game and buy you beers while I drank soda and water.
Yes, it was awesome. Speaking of that, we're at Uptown Fitness, which is just down the street from
I'm still drinking soda.
Cowboy Slim's, 1207 Lagoon Avenue. We're doing our podcast, or can we call it a podcast? Our webcast,
it's a podcast.
Our live.
It's a video podcast.
There we go. We're doing it every Monday, roughly around 1 o'clock, to talk Gopher Vikings right now and then other stuff in the future. Uptown Fitness, small group personal training and one-on-one personal training. So if you're in the Minneapolis area and you'd like to just come check it out and do a free session, it's pretty easy to get a hold of us, uptownfitnessmn.com, uptownfitnessmn.com.
Nice. My personal training session is right after the show, right?
Yes. Diet Dr. Pepper and a ride home.
Dude, I'm just packing on the pounds. But, it's a hell of a sign of sobriety. I mean, that's how people can tell. I'm like 230, bro.
Yeah, you don't look like a drug addict.
No, you should have seen me after my relapse, bro. I looked it wasn't pretty. It was not pretty. I was skin and bones. I am 6'1", 233, I believe. Oh my God. And it's none of it's muscle. I'm proud to say, not one bit of it is muscle. My fat content is like 80%.
Hey, real quick. I went to the University of Minnesota.
Yeah.
Graduate school. They're 10-1, 10th ranked in the country. A little bit of
and you
disrespect.
went to Mankato also, who's number one in the nation in hockey.
Undergrad is no, they're number one in football.
And
Division II. Yep. So that's my alma mater. And I went to high school at Blooming Prairie, Minnesota.
The
and they're playing in the Prep Bowl on Friday for
Yeah.
Class 1A championship, first time in school history.
Yeah.
This is my year.
It is. But the whole thing with the Blossoms making it to the state tournament and making it to the U.S. Bank Stadium, it's kind of twofold because, you got a lot of pride in your alma mater, but now the whole state realizes that your school is called the Awesome Blossoms.
Who cares? It's a name.
Come on, bro. It's an item menu. It's a menu
name.
item. It's a menu item at Outback Steakhouse.
It has nothing to do with the but check
Seriously,
this out.
they're an appetizer. I mean, which makes sense because they'll be one of the early games.
Bloomin' Onion. So
awesome. I thought Awesome Blossom was.
Yeah.
Whatever. No, the Paul Bunyan Steakhouse. The old Minnesota Steakhouse used to have Awesome Blossom. It was absolutely a menu item.
Why did I wear the shirt? I'll wear it next Monday when they're champions. So I'm going to the game.
Right.
I'm excited about that.
Very excited.
You ever been to Prep Bowl?
I probably worked at a few. Back when I worked with the Twins, I worked locker room for like some minor league football events, like high school playoffs. And there was always like an NCHC day or whatever. Not NCHC, but whatever the small MIAC day.
Yeah.
All that kind of stuff.
So Blooming Prairie's Class 1A, Jeff. That's one step above 9-man. Okay? Small school, right?
Don't get me started about 9-man. Find two more.
They have a
I don't care how small your school is. Find two more guys. Take them out of the band.
I agree. I don't understand the
9-man. You can find two more people.
Well, I know, but I think okay.
Seriously,
but I think
get the tuba
But here's what happens.
Put them on the offensive line.
But you can field a team with 10 or 11 guys because they play both ways. That's why, right? But anyway, Blooming Prairie has a 6'4", 230-pound, not all muscle, by the way, wide receiver. Really? So imagine that guy going up because the typical 1A.
Oh, yeah, but they have a guy who could throw it to him?
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
Because you were a receiver at Blooming Prairie.
Well, yeah, but back when we didn't throw.
But you're like 6'4".
No.
Well, you are.
6'3",
2.5,
3.
Whatever.
Yeah, but check this out. But I have no ups. This guy's playing next year at Minnesota State, Mankato.
Really?
As a tight end. By the way, he's a receiver. But in Class 1A, who's defending that guy? A 5'8", 135 guy,
that's
right?
True.
It's an unfair advantage.
It is an unfair advantage. I hope they take full advantage of it.
They're going to win.
Yeah, you don't see a lot of great sports stories coming out of, like individual athletes coming out of that part of the state. The Gopher hockey team has a guy from Laverne. Is Laverne anywhere near Blooming Prairie?
No, it's about the same size town, a little bit bigger. But you know what Laverne's claim to fame is? Other than I almost opened a gym there once. That nobody cares about that.
No, that's not a claim to fame.
That's one of the 4 towns in the war. Ken Burns.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, Laverne. You ever seen? You watched the documentary?
The Civil War?
No, World War II. The war.
Oh, I haven't seen that one. No. The war's about World War I, isn't it? The Ken Burns documentary?
Oh, Jesus Christ! No,
the only Ken Burns documentary I've seen is the Civil War.
And I didn't think it was called the Civil War.
I didn't think there was a battle in Laverne.
You don't know. When I say the war, you think World War I?
Well, you said Ken Burns. No, I'm pretty sure that
it's World War II.
No, but I thought Ken Burns' special beyond the Civil War was World War I. I didn't think he did one on World War II. Sorry, I don't know Ken Burns' life story.
2009 or 8. Yeah. Anyway, you can catch it on Netflix.
Well, we're like 10 minutes into this. We're still talking Gophers.
Got a question. Should we answer it?
Go ahead.
Do you feel the Gophers can make the playoffs with one loss, or do we have to have another year like this to be considered for the playoffs? This is, of course, if we win next week and win the Big Ten championship. So this person's saying, if you get the axe or retain the axe and you beat Ohio State,
yes,
Are you in conversation in the top 4?
You're in the playoff. You're in the playoff. I've heard guys on ESPN who know more than me say yes, that the Gophers would be in the playoff because their resume would include wins over Penn State, Wisconsin, and Ohio State. And you can talk SEC all you want. You're not going to find a one-loss team. You're not going to find a one-loss team with a better resume. And a very good loss. A very good loss. A very high-quality loss on the road against a ranked opponent in a good, close, competitive game. You know, so they would.
But those are big.
However, now here's another thing to watch for this weekend. You know, I think what a lot of people are looking at is a hopeful scenario, or maybe even a more likely scenario. I mean, the chances of Minnesota beating Ohio State in the Big Ten championship game are small. Ohio State is phenomenal.
Less than 20%.
I mean, they kicked the absolute crap out of Wisconsin, 38-7 earlier in the year.
So awesome.
So let's just say, let's get hypothetical and say the Gophers win this game against Wisconsin, go to the Big Ten championship game and lose. That the Rose Bowl would be one hell of a consolation prize. However, keep an eye on this, and I know that people are just absolutely swinging on Ohio State. If you know what I'm saying, I mean, just they're loving Ohio State right now. Just they just the most complete team in the country. They can't lose. Don't count your chickens this week. They're at Michigan. Michigan is phenomenal right now.
They're playing well.
They're not the same team that Wisconsin kicked the crap out of.
No, good point.
Yeah, they're really playing well. Indiana's a pretty good team, and Michigan absolutely took them to the house, took them to the woodshed. If Michigan, I mean, and the thing is, it's much like Minnesota, Wisconsin, in that it had to happen eventually. At some point, you're going to beat them. At some point, Jim Harbaugh is too good of a coach to lose every year.
Why isn't that game day?
Well, because that game. I think it's because they wanted that. Number one, this game is more impactful. They did that game. I mean, Ohio State's in the Big Ten. They've already clinched.
Yes.
It's still a big game for college.
Is it at the same time?
College football play. No, their game is at 11. Ours is 2:30. And then they wanted to. I think they were looking for a reason to get here. They wanted to come here.
Yeah.
It was it's been a long time waiting. But the thing with the Ohio State Michigan game, at Michigan, the Wolverines are playing extremely well. Yeah, people are building up Ohio State huge. I promise you, Michigan is going to have a huge effort, a massive effort at home. Michigan is going to be such a tough beat this Saturday. Ohio State's got more than having their hands full. Now, Ohio State, you got to cheer for them this week, Gopher fans. You got to cheer for the Buckeyes, because if the Buckeyes lose that game, they still go to the Big Ten championship game. You beat Wisconsin, you go play Ohio State. Now the team that wins that game goes to the Rose Bowl, not the team that loses that game.
Correct.
So the Gophers, I know it's been a long time, and it wouldn't maybe some people would feel it's a little tainted if you go to the Rose Bowl as a Big Ten runner-up rather as a Big Ten champion. I don't care. If the Gophers can't be in the playoff, get me to the Rose Bowl. I don't care what it takes. That means Ohio State has got to come up big at Michigan. And I'm watching all these shows and prognosticators and stuff, just saying, Ohio State can't lose. They're not going to lose to Michigan. I think that game is a toss-up at best. I mean, it's coming. I mean, one of the Michigan win in that series is coming. The same way a Gopher win against Wisconsin was coming. It was in the cards.
It was going to happen.
Yes, and right now Michigan is playing so well right now.
Are you picking them?
They're 9-2.
Are you picking them? Sounds like you're picking them.
I'm tempted. I mean, the fact that I'm willing to say that game is flip a coin. That is a complete toss-up. That's getting out on a limb when you're picking that much against Ohio State. But to pick Ohio State straight up to lose is that might take stones, the type of which I don't currently possess. But back to the Gophers and the Badgers. I don't want to speak too soon about this, and I don't want to sound cocky or arrogant. But Wisconsin have they impressed you very much? No. I mean, they lost to Illinois, and I know Illinois is a reasonable team, but the Gophers kicked the crap out of Illinois. I mean, Gophers scored 40, but they went 40-17 and gave up 2 defensive touchdowns. I had no trouble with Illinois. So anyway, Wisconsin loses to Illinois, then they're not competitive against Ohio State. And then they play a series of games much closer than you'd expect. They win 3 games by fairly narrow margins, including, I know that they eventually pulled away from Purdue at home. But I mean, Purdue at home. I mean, and then that game was close, much longer than it should have been close. I mean, Purdue has got absolutely nothing without their starting quarterback and without Rondale Moore. So I think Wisconsin has been underwhelming for the last 2 months. Ever since basically I said they're unbeatable. I remember going on Facebook and saying, "Boy, this Wisconsin team is scary good." They were 5-0 before they lost to Illinois,
right.
And they had given up 5 points a game or something ridiculous. They had 3 shutouts.
Don't they have some key injuries off last week?
Yeah, I don't know. That's a good question. I don't know.
I thought I read something about that.
But I don't know. But I mean, they just haven't been the team that I thought they were. I thought they were
I
thought they were saying no. The Gophers are 2.5 to 3 point underdog.
Seriously?
Yeah, they're and you know that. Have you ever looked at the ESPN CFP or not CFP? What do they call it? Whatever it is, that index. It's like a circle graph. It shows you like what your percentage chance of winning is. They've got Wisconsin is a 60% to 40% roughly chance over the Gophers. So the Gophers are an underdog no matter who you talk to, no matter how you slice it. I personally think, rivalry game at home, the weather is a wild card. This game is a complete and utter toss-up. Go ahead and flip a coin either way. But it's the kind of thing that Gopher fans have waited a really long time for, and I'm really excited about it. We spent really the entire show on it. So in the last few minutes here, let's just mention the fact that the Vikings are in a first-place tie now in the NFC North.
The Packers got their asses kicked last night.
They did, and I
beat up. I didn't watch any of the game. What?
I saw
was it
bits
the
and
defense
pieces.
of the 49ers?
Well, yeah. When it was a scoreless game, Rodgers fumbled. Niners got it at the 2-yard line, quick touchdown. After that, I had some obligations that kept me away from the game until it was 23-0. Then in the third quarter, Packers go down the field, get a touchdown, get a 2-point conversion, 23-8. They're only down 2 scores. It's third quarter. You see things starting to turn a little bit. And then the very next possession, Garoppolo hits Kittles for, like a 60-yard touchdown or something. And a wide open. I mean, just a walk-in. And
the Packers are a 500 team.
Well, here's the thing. When the season started, people, as always, I don't know why, but people are always on the Packers' job. People are picking them. Well, yeah, right. Well, yeah. But, I mean, it was clear that there was going to be some rebuilding. There was a first-year coach. That there were holes on defense. I will say this. Zadarius Smith and Preston Smith, great acquisition. Zadarius Smith has been really, really good. And then that defense is improved, better than I thought it would be. By the way, they lost Brian Bulaga. They're starting tackle, so I think he's the right tackle. But he had a knee injury last night that may be serious. We'll find out more as the week progresses. But I couldn't understand why people were picking the Packers to win this division. I thought they're a mediocre team at best. And I know that they're 8-3. And I know that they are tied for first and holding a tiebreaker. But I don't care if you think this makes me sound like a homer or a whiner. The simple fact of the matter is, without horrendous officiating, the Packers are a 6-5 team. I mean, they absolutely the pass interference call against the Vikings and the ridiculous hands to the face penalties against the Lions are the only thing keeping the Packers from being a 6-5 team and the Vikings being a 9-2 team. And this division would be over. It would be absolutely over. The Vikings absolutely have a better team. They have a better roster. They're better at every position except for quarterback. And I will say this, for the last 2 months, it's hard to find a quarterback better than Kirk Cousins unless your name is Lamar Jackson. I mean, Cousins has done everything you could ask. And right now, unfortunately, the tiebreakers still don't line up well for the Vikings. And I still think the Packers – yeah, they do. That's the thing. The Vikings, I think, have to win out to win this division because the Packers' schedule is terrible. Yeah. I mean, it's so easy. It's terrible from a Vikings standpoint. The Packers –
they're going to lose one more game.
Play the Vikings. Yeah, the Packers play the Vikings and then the other NFC North.
Yeah, but what happens if we lost one and beat them with the same record? Then you get into weird tiebreaker shit.
And the tiebreakers don't bode well for us. Even if the Vikings beat the Packers and even up the head-to-head numbers, you get into common opponents. You get into record in the division. And that win against the Lions is really the one that gets it. I mean, it bugs me. It bugs me enough that the Vikings lost the game there that they should have won with that weak pass interference overruling. Yeah. But that Lions game is one that really hurts. That sets them up for a better record in the division and versus common opponents, and not to mention it just should have flat up in a loss.
So if we do have to win out, Jeff, and
then with the Seattle,
how do you beat Russell Wilson? Let's talk about that.
That's tough. Although I will say this, the Eagles are not a very good football team, and that game was close throughout. Yeah. And I heard Kevin Burkhardt, the play-by-play guy. By the way, Kevin Burkhardt, Charles Davis. I don't know that there's a more agonizing broadcast team to listen to in any sport at any level than Kevin Burkhardt and Charles Davis. It's just painful.
Buck?
But he did make a good point. Personal feelings of Buck aside, he's still good at what he does. But Shooter McGavin. He's very Shooter McGavin, like in his smugness. Yeah. Or as Michael Scott would say, his smudgeness. Yeah. But the thing Burkhardt said yesterday, that was actually pretty adroit. It was 10-3, and he said it felt like it was 28-0. And it did. I mean, it felt like the Seahawks were just.
Did you say adroit?
Or adept, adroit. I said adroit. No, it was proper use, I believe.
I think so.
But it was. He said it felt like a 28-point game when it was 10-3. The Seahawks seemed to be dominating and just letting the Eagles hang around. And the Eagles have no receivers right now. Carson Wentz was a mess. Their defense is pretty good, but I mean the Seahawks they weren't overly impressive. I mean I think the Cowboys are a better team than Philadelphia, and I think the Vikings looked Look,
Where was that
just
game?
as good in Dallas.
Was that game at Seattle?
Seattle did. No, it was in Philly.
Okay.
And we know that Seattle's a really hard place to play, really noisy. And the Vikings will be an underdog, and rightfully so.
But it's going to be fun. It's Monday Night Football.
Yeah.
And if we do win that game, how exciting. I mean, now it's on.
Right. And here's the thing to watch,
If you lose that game, we can't get too low.
I was so excited about the Dallas win for a number of reasons. Number one, yeah, Brian Grindy checks in with Ric Flair. Woo!
Well, we got
Nature Boy.
We got Eric Decker, Carl Eller, Ric
Eller,
Flair.
that wouldn't be bad. That'd be kind of cool.
Yeah.
That'd be kind of cool. I haven't heard
still
Carl
with us,
Eller.
isn't he?
Yeah. I lost my train of thought, though. I got the squirrel.
Russell Wilson, Seattle.
Oh, the Dallas game. Why the Dallas game is so important. I mean, obviously, it's a win. It's a win that keeps you in the division race, and now you're tied for first. But what I think it means more than anything is a huge confidence thing for Cousins. Cousins, we all know the record against teams with winning records. We all know about the record in prime time. We all know that he has not been a big game quarterback throughout his entire career. Now, granted, he was playing most of his career on the Washington Redskins, and they're going to lose most of their games against teams with winning records and such. But, I mean, like going to that Dallas game, the reason I didn't think the Vikings were going to win was because Kirk Cousins' record in situations like that. Bright lights, big
Sunday
stage.
Night Football.
Bright lights, big stage, and down he goes, But not in that game. He looked really good. He got over that hump, and that's important because the Vikings have 3 more primetime games this year. But there's only 5 games left, right? Yeah, they're 5 games left. 3 of the 5 are primetime.
Well, we have Monday night.
They have Sunday night games against a Sunday night game against San Diego.
Okay.
At San Diego, and they've got 2 Monday night games.
Really?
Seattle and Green Bay.
Green Bay's a Monday night.
It's a Monday night. So, that whole big bright lights, big stage thing. We got it. That hopefully, Cousins has gotten over that hump.
He's gotten over the hump, Jeff. I believe it.
Oh, by the way, one other thing I'd like to mention here is I should have added up the numbers before we did this, but this is our 3rd show. Our first 2 shows, we put them on Facebook Live, and YouTube. And between those platforms combined, I believe we're up to it's at least 2,500 views over the last 2 weeks. So anyway, if anybody out there is looking for a unique,
like us, Jeff,
a unique marketing or advertising opportunity
yes.
at a reasonable rate,
yes,
the Jeff Dubay Show with Jason Linse would love to have you. We're currently sponsored by our folks here at Uptown Fitness. We're doing 1 show a week, but we certainly could fit in another show or 2. And if we go on, go on location, we got the camera. We can actually show people what your business looks like. You get to get some logo gear.
You come on and talk on the show about whatever you want.
Get the logo, see like that, Uptown Fitness.
Uptown Fitness.
Yeah.
Hey, by the way, you can reach out to Jeff. That's fine, but he's just going to forward it to me. So 612-310-1319, or you can find me on Facebook, Jason M. Linse, Jason at jasonlinse.com. You can, however, but you can go to Jeff too. He's just going to forward it to me. And I'll
just hit me up on Facebook, whatever. I'll make sure that Jason fans
are looking for. I mean, honestly, we're just looking for one. Oh, like a Friday. We can add that 1 more show per week. Because I know you guys want 1 more show per week, don't you? Let's see some thumbs up if you want 1 more show per week.
Uptown Fitness, you want to plug it one more time?
Uptown Fitness. It's really simple. Go to uptownfitnessmn.com. You can just schedule a free session. It all starts with a free session. It doesn't matter if you're in shape, not in shape, in terrible shape. Doesn't matter your fitness level whatsoever. That's why we exist, for everybody to get coached. Get coached here. We call it coach, not trainers. We call them coaches. It's the same thing.
Do you have any life coaches? I could use a life coach.
Well, our coaches kind of do everything, all in one. Nutrition, all that stuff. But it all starts with a free session, so you can see the gym, meet some of the coaches, go through the session, see the kind of workouts we do, which we know you're going to love, and then you can decide. So we're not high pressure, nothing like that. But uptownfitnessmn.com, get your free sessions.
That's it. Yeah. Thanks, everybody, for joining. Tell your friends about it. The show can be watched on YouTube. I'm on the Jeff Dubay channel. Go to YouTube and subscribe to my channel. Then you'll get a notice every time we do a new one, which is every week, and maybe soon to be twice.
Brian Grindy, is it?
Brian Grindy, it's my buddy from Teen Challenge.
Gophers 35-17. I hope you're right.
Yeah, I hope he's right. I watched the Penn State win with him. It's good, JoJo.
I'll take 35.
Juju, not JoJo. Juju. JoJo's are potatoes.
And Juju.
Juju. Yeah, JoJo's are potatoes. How do I stop this thing?
So long, everybody.